And then there was Whose Line 18 Plus panel. Now, me and Nick, I think, had different opinions on this. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was clever. There was a lot of creative stuff going on. It was pretty much almost completely fan interaction or audience interaction. And, I mean, there was some great stuff. I mean, not everything was a big hit, but most of it was easily just hilarious. And, yes, because it was 18 plus, it was a lot of adult humor. But, I mean, it wasn't, like, completely bad. After coming from the boobs panel, it was actually almost, like, refreshing. That's how much of a difference there was.
You done?
And
I'll tell you, let me tell.
Well, that was my entire schedule for Saturday.
Now, I just wanted to mention about this, the Youmacon Whose Line Is It After Dark. By far, the biggest disappointment of the day.
For him.
For me, biggest disappointment of the day. And you could tell it wasn't giving as much laughs as it could have, either. It was crude. It was very low. It was low-grade slapstick. It was we had teabagging jokes, for goodness sakes, to try to save it. It was just weird.
It worked. That one gained a big laugh.
No, it gained a little laugh. I wouldn't give a big laugh. The biggest laugh they got was from the guy they picked from the audience that actually did something unexpected. And
Isn't he one of our friends?
Yeah, actually was sitting with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, from what I hear from the guys that are with us, James is one of our friends from the In Between Cafe.
Right.
He mentioned what?
Plugging
friends.
The cafe.
Oh, plug In Between Cafe. If you're going to Baker, go to In Between Cafe.
Baker Flint.
Run by students who care. Anyway, Youmacon, but it was just really crude. It wasn't funny. From what I hear from last year, last year was phenomenally hilarious. Of course, last year they also had guest comedians, Doug Walker and
also known as the Nostalgia Critic,
and Linkara,
who was here this year as well.
Which James didn't think made too much of a difference until he saw this year's. This year's was disappointing. I looked at him.
In their opinion.
He looked at me. I looked at him. And honestly, nothing really happened. Most of the sketches. And the one thing I was looking forward to the entire time, Scenes from a Hat, they ran out of time to do. Which was a tradition for them that they do it last. And they didn't give enough time for it. Which to me shows poor planning in their part. And very, very disappointing for me.
It wasn't Scenes from a Hat. It was the Whose Line one.
Even if it was that, it was something that was more audience participation than I thought they had. They tried to have their
audience. They were going to do it to their credit. They were going to.
Yeah, they got the things together, but they got pushed out.
The entire thing about we ran out of time with it is because of the entire confusion with the switching back the clocks. I think that messed things up, and we thought we had more time than we did.
It was confusing in general, but it should have been stuff that should have been figured out beforehand. And it was actually, I don't think it was completely the panelists, the problem or fault. I think the staff themselves wanted to get them out there early so they could prepare for the next thing. But in general, the comedy, there's no excuse for what I thought, from my opinion, for what I saw. And what we did at the In Between Cafe, plug, yeah, I have to say that now. Copyright.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we did there, we did something similar to what they did, and we got bigger laughs and more just a general overall feel for it than I thought they did. I thought it was more creative than what they did, too. What they did was very, very lowbrow.
In his opinion.
Yeah, I guess James said, too.
Anyways, pretty much that was it for me. We ended up deciding to stay the night. He'll go into what he did with that a little later. And basically what I did, I went to the game room for a little, and then I decided I was just really tired at that point. So I found a chair and an ottoman to put my feet up, and I just went to sleep.
Okay, let me go over really quickly my day of Saturday, since I don't want to get too bad. I went to Your Favorite Anime Sucks, which was the guy that was actually the guy that was leading the Whose Line Is It Anyway 18 Plus was the one that was leading that panel.
Yeah.
And, He was kind of funnier than he was actually in Whose Line to me, but he was just basically, you named your favorite anime. He wanted favorite. He didn't want just a regular thing you thought he wouldn't know. Just name your favorite one, and he would berate it, basically at whatever he could.
It was the same thing basically as your favorite video game sucks,
Yeah.
just with anime.
Yeah, before it almost sounds like yours was better, but mine was I don't know. It was kind of funny, it was hit and miss.
Well, I now remember I did go to that too.
I didn't stay too long.
Yeah, we didn't stay that long
Because
it was funny. It was okay. It
Yeah.
just we had better things to do.
Yeah, it was an interesting. I was really interested to see if he could actually point out flaws in the, because I like to see because sometimes I look through things through my own eyes and they're not accurate. I think that happens with everyone, that our perceptions of something can blur what we actually see in it. And
Yeah.
that's what I was literally looking for, is to get something from it that might help me appreciate the series as more as being non-perfect and flawed. But in general, it wasn't very enlightening.
Honestly, all it really was is basically them just being immature and saying, "Oh, it sucks because it's stupid." They didn't really give any critical, constructive feedback.
When I mentioned Bakano,
But it wasn't meant to. It was for fun and comedy more.
For Bakano, for example, their biggest thing was everything was great except everyone was asshole.
Yeah, and with what did they say about my favorite Naoki Urasawa's Monster?
Monster. They said the cross-dressing Johan.
Yeah,
which was disturbing.
It really was, but the anime was so great, and even that part was really.
It wasn't
it was freaky.
He said all the time too, and it didn't get into that till later in the series.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't remember everything about a series perfectly, but it was just kind of an immature poking, and that's why we didn't stay too long. Aside from the fact that we needed to get back for his badge.
As Nostalgia Critic would say, it was nitpicking.
Yeah. Okay, and then I ended up going. Actually, that's pretty much. I went to Beyond Good and Evil: Moral Choices in Video Games, and that was pretty cool. They gave us examples of certain video game instances that actually happened there, and what we would do in that instance and why. And it was very interactive with the audience. They picked on them and they would ask the questions. They have group votes and things like that. I thought it was informative, interesting, and I was looking forward to more. Unfortunately, we ran out of time.
That kind of thing can happen easily.
The only thing I would have added to it a little more was a little more of a psychological background as to why people sometimes do things in video games that are a little bit when they go and make the characters bad or so. But otherwise, it was very fun. But not. I mean, it wasn't Helsing behind the blood fun, but it was, entertaining. What is Sephiroth Kabbalah in anime?
I don't know either, people.
It was a woman, and she was learned. I think it was her first panel. It was just basically the first 15 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes, was like being in a college lecture on Kabbalah, a Jewish, it's kind of like a Jewish cult-like anime.
Cult
thing. It was really, it is somewhat interesting, but then I got bored and started texting Brent. Kind of rude, but I mean, I just got really bored until they started saying how Kabbalah fit into the anime and video games. But even that was just minuscule and really, she tried. She did. She just used one visual. It was on a paper. It wasn't.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. They stay there the whole time.
This is my crappy drawing.
Oh, it was a good drawing. It just was boring.
Yeah.
And then she had all her notes on her iPhone, so she was constantly sifting through them. And
oh, that sounds.
Yeah. One of the most entertaining things was when her iPhone was running out of power, and her father, who's sitting in the back, came up with the cord and plugged it in.
Yeah.
That was nice of him, but otherwise, not very interesting. Prawn with a plot, an eroge.
Do not go into detail.
Panel. I won't.
I didn't see this, but he says it was worse than the boobs, so.
It was worse than the boobs. But I mean, from a stance of inappropriateness. It depends who you are, really, on what you can take and what you can't. Brent's the more sensitive guy. That's fine. I respect that.
I wouldn't really use the word sensitive. That makes me sound like a wussy.
No. Girls love sensitive guys, man. You're cool.
Now, why have I never had a girlfriend?
I've only had one.
You've had more than me.
Well, I mean, you'll get it. You'll get it someday. It's just
I had a girl who actually liked me in one school, but I had absolutely no interest in her.
Kind of my thing too. But anyway, let's not go into that.
Yeah, enough about our personal relationship issues.
Yes, it was entertaining. We had everyone there sharing the same interest in one, and people that didn't know all about Eroge, and people that did had very level again. Quite a few female members along with the male, which surprised me.
Sick people.
They handed out a package of this is great.
We'll go over our swag later.
Okay, but we'll go over the swag later.
We got swag.
We did get swag.
We got lots of swag. Good swag too. You'll see later.
And some of the best for the swag is free swag.
Free swag's always good swag.
Always good swag. Anyway, when you go, and then
Now see, that is the appropriate term of the appropriate way to use the word swag. Do not do the Justin Bieber thing. That is
swagger.
Well, they often shorten swagger to swag to mean the same thing, and that's not how you should.
What he's talking about is when I did buy something finally in the dealer's room, I said I knocked the guy's price down. I had him take $8 off the price, and I did pretty good on that.
Yeah.
Considering it was a tough crowd there, sort of that. So I did good in getting him to knock $8 off, and I said I had haggling swagger. And I did the thing. And he said, never do that again.
Yeah.
And now looking at myself doing it, I think I agree as well. Yes, and then I went, my friend James and I went back to his hotel room.
That's where they spent the night. They actually had a hotel room. He got drunk.
Don't make it sound gay and weird.
I think about that. That does really sound weird.
No, it wasn't weird.
They went back to the hotel room together. They got drunk. Things happened.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. We watched Full Metal Alchemist. That was pretty cool. He fell asleep quickly. He just had a really rough day. And I had 3 beers, fell asleep as well. He had 1. I supplied. It was nice. Because he let me, and I was able to at least sleep for 4.5 hours that night.
Pretty much the same amount I slept, actually.
So I wasn't a complete zombie the next day.
Although you did miss things because of that.
I did. And I did wake up with a little bit of a hangover today, and I missed the Rehe worship with Caitlin
Glass.
But
we'll go more into that when we do something.
Well, you can go into that a little more because you know what
happened.
I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, next will be our Sunday review.
Because that was pretty much all we did on Saturday.
Yep. And so we'll see you then.
Okay.